And I have one. Oh, that's here.
That's
What
one.
was the 10th? Can you give me a question book?
And, well, one volume that which
No, it's probably not the one I want. No, I need the source volume of 0.01. Hi Krishna. Dear devotees.
Krishna books in here. And here's a Krishna book. It's just not open.
Part one.
Chapter 44.
Krishna books all over the place.
No, part 2. Krishna became everywhere. That's great. So it's really be.
Here's a volume here.
Okay. Thank you.
Hey,
We never know, you know, if we are going to, what we are going, where we are going to go. I never know, no, that's true. In Denver, I had the same experience. I will prepare for class and the class will go. We are completely different. Okay, I got now. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam namaskritya nam shaiva namutamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamuduyayat. For reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is a very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayan, unto Narayan, which is the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva. So offer. And we are reading from the third canto, entitled Status Quo. And we are reading from chapter 3, the Lord passed time out of Vrindavan, and we are on text 2. So canto 3, chapter 3, text 2. One Sanskrit word at a time. Sandipane,
Sandipane,
Sakrit,
Sakrit,
Hoktam,
Bhoktam,
Brahma, Aditya,
Aditya,
Savishtara,
Savishtaram,
Tasmai,
Tasmai,
Adat, Varam,
Ram,
Utram,
Utram,
Vetam,
Vitam,
Vanshajana,
Vakshajana,
Udarat,
Udarat,
Sandipane, Sakrit, Hoktam,
Sandipane, Sakrit, Bhoktam,
Brahmaditya, Savishtaram,
Brahmaditya, Savishtaram,
Tasmat Pradat Varam Putram,
Sadadvaram,
Vitam Panchajanodarat,
Vitam, Vakshajanodarat,
Sandipane, Sakrit, Hoktam,
Sandipane Sakrit Proktam
Brahmaditya Savistaram
Brahmaditya Savishtaram
Tasmapadam Putram
Tasmai Pradharam Putram
Vitam Panchajanodhat
Panchachanodara
Sandipane Sakrit Proktam
Sandipane Sakrit Proktam
Brahmaditya Savistaram
Brahmaditya Savishtaram
Tasmapadam Putram
Tasmai Pradharam Putram
Vitam Panchajanodhat
Panchachanodara
Sandipane Sakrit Proktam
Sandipane Sakrit Proktam
Brahmaditya Savistaram
Brahmaditya Savishtaram
Tasmai Padam Varam Putram
Tasmai Pradharam Putram
Vitam Panchachanodara
Mritam Panchajanodarat Sandipane Sakrit Proktam
Sandipane Sakrit Proktam
Brahmaditya Savishtaram
Brahmaditya Savistaram
Tasmai Pradharam Putram
Putram
Mritam Panchajanodarat
Vitam Panchajanodhat. Anyone online would like to chant?
Sandipane Sakrit Proktam
Sandipane Sakrit Proktam
Brahmaditya Savishtaram
Brahmaditya Savistaram
Tashmai Pradadvaram Putram
Tasmapadam
Mritam Panchadanodarat
Vitam Panchajanodhat. Okay, one word at a time for a translation. Sandipane,
Sandipane
Sandipane Muni,
Sandipane
Sakrit,
Sakrit
once only,
once only
Proktam,
Proktam
instructed,
instructed
Brahma,
Brahma
all the Veda with their different branches of knowledge,
all the Vedas with their different branches of knowledge.
Aditya,
Aditya
after studying,
after studying
Savistaram,
Savishtaram
in all details,
in all details.
Tasmai,
Tasmai
and to him,
unto him
Pradat,
Radha
rewarded,
rewarded
Varam,
Varam
a benediction,
a benediction.
Putram,
Putram
his son,
his son
Vitam,
Mritam
who was already dead,
who was already dead.
Panchajana,
Panchajana
the region of the departed souls,
the region of the departed souls.
Udarat,
With the bride
from within.
from within.
Translation: the Lord learned all the Vedas with their different branches simply by hearing them once from his teacher, Sandeep Muni, whom he rewarded by bringing back his dead son from the region of Yamaloka. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. No one but the Supreme Lord can become well versed in all the branches of Vedic wisdom simply by hearing once from his teacher. Nor can anyone bring a dead body back to life after the soul has already gone to the region of Yamaraj. But Lord Krishna ventured to the planet of Yamaloka and found the dead son of his teacher and brought him back to his teacher as a reward for the instruction received. The Lord is constitutionally well versed in all the Vedas, and yet to teach by example that everyone must go to learn the Vedas from an authorized teacher and must satisfy the teacher by service and reward. He himself adopted this system. The Lord offered his services to his teacher Sandipani Muni, and the Muni, knowing the power of the Lord, as something which was impossible to be done by anyone else. The teacher asked that this beloved son who had died be brought back to him, and the Lord fulfilled the request. The Lord is not, therefore, an ingrate to anyone who renders him some sort of service. The devotee of the Lord who always engaged in his loving service are never to be disappointed in a progressive march of devotional service. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnana Jala Shalakaya Chakshur Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manubhishtam Shtapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Upakadamayam Dadati Swapadam Tinkam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuttapada Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Lalita Shri Shakam Dam Cha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sachivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitach Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitam Cha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamadiya Priye Vamsha Kalpata Rupyaksha Kripa Sindhu Vyaya Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nitinamini Namaste Sarvate Deve Gauravani Pacharini Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Pastrachya Dijatamini Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Gadadhar Shivasadi Gauravata Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Welcome Konvati Vachalam Pagobhyam Gayati Gayam Yakrita Tamaham Bande Shabu Dejatarinam. Hare Krishna, we are reading from Canto 3, Chapter 3, Text 2, from Srimad Bhagavatam. The Lord learned all the Vedas with their different branches simply by hearing them once from his teacher, Sandipani Muni, who he rewarded by bringing back his dead son from the region of Yamaloka. So this is really confusing. It's so confusing. It's so extremely confusing because Lord Brahma, who is the creator of the universe, first received all the Veda from the feet of Lord Krishna. So all the Veda, by all the Veda, I am to be known, and I'm the compiler of the Veda. So Vedavit Eva Chaham, 1515, Bhagavad Gita, Krishna say, the Veda comes from him, is a source of all knowledge, is a source of all knowledge, and no one can know more than he does. So how can the Lord, who is the source of all knowledge, and with that no one can know, even himself, he has a hard time keeping up with his expansion and his knowledge of himself. So how can he learn from a teacher, Sandipani Muni? How can he learn anything from Sandipani Muni? And here Srila Prabhupada given an explanation that a lot of this pastime out of Vrindavan, because this is the title of his chapter, the Lord's pastime out of Vrindavan, the Lord really act in a way that gives us example. Like he's a king, and is a beautiful son, and he has wives, not girlfriend anymore. He acts in a way that's for us to be able to follow, not imitate, but follow. So here Srila Prabhupada make a point that Krishna wanted to show that the importance of approaching a bona fide teacher, authorized teacher, to learn the Veda. That's our responsibility. Jivasya Tattva Vidyasya. The purpose of human life is to inquire about the absolute truth. And Atoto Brahma gets, now is the time to inquire. So really the purpose of human life is to get knowledge, What knowledge? The knowledge by which we are going to understand our constitutional position, that we are Jivara Swarupam, Krishna Nitya Das, that we are eternal servants of Krishna. So by this example, Krishna show how to approach a spiritual master, a teacher, and inquire submissively and rendering service, and then rewarding the teacher. And I was thinking about that reward. It's so much about the tithing idea. Tithing, how you say that? Tithing. The idea of tithing is to reward the place where we receive transcendental knowledge, where we receive spiritual enlightenment, where we receive transcendental advancement, spiritual knowledge. And that idea is that wherever we receive knowledge, as long as that knowledge is helping us to free ourselves from material bondage, then we want to reciprocate with the teacher. And Lord Chaitanya asked us all to be teachers. He said, be a guru in the land. So we are all gurus. So we need to be able to know where to give and know when to receive. And that, I know that's been a big curve for me, because I knew how to give, but receiving. So Sandipani Muni, he had two students, and he knew how to receive. And so Krishna show example by receiving knowledge from his teacher and then giving reward. And the teacher knew how to receive from his pupils to help them. And in that situation, Sandipani Muni knew who Krishna and Balaram were. Yesterday was Lord Balaram appearances, so we were celebrating Lord Balaram. Again, in this pastime, Lord Balaram is also present. So, well, I'm going to go back a little bit of his story. Krishna was in Vrindavan with his mother and father, Mother Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj, and then Akrura came to pick him up. Krishna went to Mathura. When he was in Mathura, he did a lot of killing, demons, including his uncle Kamsa, who was really oppressing everyone. And not only he was an atheist, but he was against the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then after he killed Kamsa, he wanted to have a relationship with his parents. And of course, from that place of being a 16-year-old who kills the biggest demon ever, and also the greatest warrior and wrestler ever, that wasn't creating the right platform for an intimate parent-teenage relationship. So what Krishna and Balaram did, they covered their parents over for them to forget what he just did. And then they submitting themselves as the son of Devaki and Vasudev. They submitting themselves very humbly, and they say, well, we are so lucky that you saved us by bringing us to Vrindavan, and we are so sorry that you didn't get to take care of us. We are here now, and we are going to serve you when we didn't have an opportunity to serve you, because a child also is supposed to serve the parents. And then so Vasudeva took his role very seriously from that point on. And if we remember Krishna, until then he was a Vaishya, because he was the son of Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda, who were a Vaishya community. He was the king of the Vaishya. Still he was a Vaishya, Nanda Maharaj. And in a Vaishya, the Vaishya is like considered like a lower caste, and only the higher caste kind of come to a place of receiving knowledge from the Guru. So Vasudeva, the first thing he did is like, okay, now you're officially my son. So Krishna changed varnas. And that's very interesting. Later on in Krishna books, there is some Pundraka's demons who are kind of joke with Krishna. And also Shishupal did that. They are kind of criticizing Krishna because you really don't know what's your varna. Are you a Vaishya? Are you a Kshatriya? Who are you? You don't even know who you are.
Or Sudra, you just drive chariots.
You drive chariot of Arjuna, you just don't know what.
Sometimes you think you're Brahmin, you speak philosophy.
Yeah, exactly. So you really confuse Krishna. So in that situation, Vasudeva and Devaki, they decided to have Gargamuni, who is like the guru of the family, the guru of the royal family, is Gargamuni, to have Gargamuni proceed and do the ceremony of the sacred thread ceremony. And then that at that time also Krishna and Balaram receives the Gayatri mantra. So and then from that point on, after they receive the Gayatri mantra, then it's logical for children to be sent away to the Guru, to the house of the Guru, to an ashram really. They send away to the house of the Guru, to an ashram, to be trained in the Vedas. And because they were Kshatriya, they were also trained in the art of fighting different weapons. And in Krishna book, if you read the chapter entitled Krishna Recovers the Son of His Teacher, there is 3 pages of all the things that they learned. They learn how to decorate themselves, they learn how to dye their hair, they learn the art of music, they learn the art of psychology, they learn the art of knowing what someone else's mind is in someone else's mind, and controlling their mind. That's scary. They learn psychiatry. They learn all kind of art of weaponry, artistic decoration. There's 3 pages of what they learn. And they learned that in 64 days. There were 64 days with Sandipani Muni. And everything that Sandipani Muni was teaching, all the different art and science in the Vedas, Krishna and Balaram just absorbed it, of course, because that knowledge comes from them. It's not very surprising that in 64 days, they absorb it and were completely fluent in all that knowledge. And so the story, then Krishna and Balaram, they were really grateful, so grateful. We learn everything from you, Sandipani Muni. We want to serve you and we want to fulfill your desire. One of the teaching in the long list of everything they learn how to fulfill one's desire. You know, I can read a few things because it's kind of fun. So I will just read a few things that they learn because it's long. I'm not going to read 3 pages. They learn, they learn practical psychology, how to influence another's mind, and thus influence another to act according to one's desire. Everyone wants that, isn't it? Every time I coach someone, I say, if that person could only act this way, or if that person could only change in this way. So then we need to go to Sandipani Muni to learn that art. Sometimes this is called hypnotism. They learn how to wash hair, dye it in different color, and curl it in different ways. So they learn hypnotism, but they also learn how to curl their hair. They learn the art of telling what is written in someone's book without actually seeing it. So they learn how to see inside a book without opening the book. They learn to tell what is contained in another's feast. And Prabhupada says something sweet. Sometimes children imitate this art, also not very accurately. One child keeps something within his fist and asks his friend, "Can you tell me what is within?" And the friend gives some suggestion. Also, we actually cannot tell. But there is an art by which one can understand and actually tell what is held within the fist. And when I'm reading all the learning of Krishna and Balaram, I'm feeling very unfortunate. I'm feeling unfortunate that the human form of life has so many more abilities. And we are, in Kali Yoga, we are very, very proud of our advancement in technology. However, we have lost most of our potential in this human form of life for so many arts, including the art of seeing inside a book without opening a book, of knowing what's inside someone's hand, or knowing how to know what someone's thinking, or even change their way of thinking. Those arts were present, they are part of the Veda, and in Kali Yoga, we don't have access to most. It's like, imagine we have a sport car with 8 cylinders. And in fact, that sport car only functions on 1.5 cylinder. Then that's what's happening. We have so much abilities that we don't have access anymore to. But that's what's happened for me when I read all that Krishna and Balaram. Krishna and Balaram learn how to speak and understand the languages of various countries. They learn not only the language of human beings, Krishna could also speak even with animals and birds. Evidence of this is found in Vaishnava literature compiled by the Goswami. Then they learn how to make carriages and airplanes from flowers. When I was flying, coming back from Denver, I had the thought like, this age is so degraded that our airplanes are made of metal. And it's so unnatural to fly something, to put something like in the air that's made of metal. So Krishna and Balaram, they were making airplanes from flowers. It is said in the Ramayana that after defeating Ravana, Ramachandra was carried from Lanka to Bharatashvara on a plain of flower called Pushparata. Krishna then learned the art of foretelling events by seeing signs. So foretelling. In a book called Kanarvachana, the various types of signs and omens are described. If when one is going out, one sees someone with a bucket full of water, that is a very good sign. So it's like, how it's called? People who see signs. There's a name of it. Anyway, so they also learn those signs that we can learn. But if one sees someone with an empty bucket, this is not a very good sign. Similarly, if one sees cows milk around with a calf, it is a good sign. The result of understanding this sign is that one can foretell events, and Krishna learned that's the science. Krishna also learned the art of composite makrita. A makrita is a crossword section with 3 letters in a line. So crossword. Counting any 3 from any side, it will count 9. My mom does that. Sukudi, something. The makrita are of different kind and are for different purposes. That's what my mom does, is 86, and she does, I don't remember how it's called, but it's numbers to make the line and you fill in the number.
Crosswords.
No, it's not a crossword, it's with numbers. But here is a crossword. So Krishna learned the art of cutting valuable stones such as diamonds, and he learned the art of questioning and answering by immediate composing poetry within his mind. He learned the science of the action and reaction of physical combination and permutation. He learned the art of a psychiatrist who can understand the psychic movement of another person. The psychic movement of another person. I wonder how many psychiatric doctors have that knowledge of the psychic movement of another person. Fascinating. He learned how to satisfy one's desires. Desires are very difficult to fulfill, but if one desires something which is unreasonable and can never be fulfilled, the desire can be subdued and satisfied. That is an art. By this art, one can also subdue sex impulses when they are aroused. So they are even in brahmachari life. By this art, one can make even an enemy his friend or transfer the direct action of a physical element to another thing. So quite amazing, the fulfillment of desire and those desires that are impossible to fulfill, the method by which one can subdue them completely. Is that an amazing art? Lord Krishna and Balaram, the reservoir of all knowledge of arts and science, exhibited their perfect understanding when they offered to serve their teacher by awarding him anything he desired. This offering by the student to the teacher or spiritual master is called Guru Dakshin. It is essential that the student satisfy the teacher in return for any learning received, either material or spiritual. When Krishna and Balaram offered their service in this way, the teacher Sandipani Muni thought it wise to ask them for something extraordinary, something which no common student could offer. So Sandipani Muni, like he thought like Krishna and Balaram, not going to ask like what ask the other boy, maybe to gather firewood or maybe give me some juice or something. I'm going to ask them for something extraordinary. And Sandipani Muni, he approached his wife, and together they decided, well, we lost our very dear son. Why not ask Krishna and Balaram to bring us back the son? And then they explain how the sun as drawn as Prabhasak Kshetra on the beach. So that's why he was drawn there. And so Lord Krishna and Balaram, they went to that beach, and then they asked the demigod of the sea, bring back that sun now. And right away the demigod came and said, I don't have the sun and I didn't take it. But there is a demon, Panchajana, who did capture the sun and then chew it, and now it's probably digested by the demon. And so Krishna and Balaram, they dove inside the ocean, and very, very deep in the ocean, they found that demons were in a shell, a big shell like that. And as soon as Krishna saw the demon, he killed the demon, enters the demon's belly, and there he didn't find the boy. The boy wasn't there anymore. Why? Because he was already taken to the house of Yamaraj, the house of death. So Krishna and Balaram, they decided to go to Yamaloka, Loka is planet, the planet of Yamaraj. And as soon as they arrived there, Lord Yamaraj, he was jubilant. He was so happy because the Lord of Death is a very, very dear servant of Krishna and Balaram. And the Lord of Death is a devotee of the Lord. And he was so pleased and amazed to see Krishna and Balaram visiting him. As soon as he saw them, he offered prostrating obeisances, folded his arm, and he was glorifying the Lord. And then he asked the Lord, what can I do for you? And then Krishna and Balaram asked Yamaraj, can you bring back the son of our teacher? And And Yamaraj, because he's a servant of Krishna, of course, he was eager to fulfill any request. And we should also be eager to fulfill any request from the spiritual master. And what the spiritual master is asking us, chant Hare Krishna. Follow 4 regulatory principles. Get up early in the morning and preach. Be part of my mission. Give Krishna consciousness to the entire world. That's his desire. His desire, Krishna's dear servant, ambassador of the spiritual world, Srila Prabhupada, is asking us for those simple things. And of course, the duty of disciple, a servant of the Srila Prabhupada, is to fulfill the desire. So similarly, Yamaraj right away fulfilled the request of Krishna and Balaram and brought back the son to them. And then Krishna and Balaram, they went back to Sandipani Muni's ashram, and then they gave the son to Sandipani Muni. And of course, Sandipani Muni was very moved and touched. And he was not moved and touched so much because he received his son back. His emotion were really coming from a sense of very great fortune. How fortunate he felt, honored, fortunate, privileged that he had the pupils of Krishna and Balaram. His students were the Supreme Lord and his first expansion. And that when Krishna and Balaram brought back his son, that's what came to him. Like, how fortunate. Look at who I had the opportunity to spend 64 days and be in a relationship. And of course, it's in a relationship. It's in a Vatsalya ras type of relationship, like a father or mother or teacher. And Sandipani Muni, he is a soul with that kind of relationship with Krishna. And he was feeling so fortunate that Krishna gave him the opportunity to serve him in that way, to serve them in that way. So usually what's happened when the students bring the dakshin to the teacher feel inclined to pray and to also give blessing to the student. He gives blessing. So we are going to hear about the blessing that Sandipani Muni gave to Krishna and Balaram. Let me find it. So, okay. So when they bring back the child, the son, and then the two brothers, Krishna and Balaram, ask their teacher, are there anything more to ask from them? So they wanted to give more service. As long as the teacher will ask, they will give. There is no end. A student's disciple, servant is ready to fulfill the desire of the master without any end. So they ask, is there anything else we can do for you? And they were ready to render more service. And here is the answer from Sandipani Muni. My dear sons, so again, Vatsalya ras, that's a ras Sandipani is into, and it's different than Nanda Maharaj, and different than Vasudev, and the flavor is different, and the over umbrella of the category is Vatsalya ras. You have done enough for me. I am now completely satisfied. What further want can there be for a man who has disciple like you? So again, like he didn't say, oh, what more can I ask from you than having my son back? That's not what Sandipani Muni said. In fact, him asking for his son, it seems, I don't know the psychology so much, but it seemed that it was more about having confirmation and the glorification of Krishna than really about changing, the course of the event of losing his son. But by that act, then he was able to glorify the Lord. What further wrong can there be for a man who has disciples like you? My dear boys, you can go home now. The glorious acts of yours will always be renowned all over the world. So we can see here, like Sandy Malini, he asked for the Lord to do something extraordinary, because by the Lord doing something extraordinary, then we can glorify the Lord. You are above all blessing, yet it is my duty to bless you. I give you the benediction that whatever you speak will remain as eternally fresh as the instruction of the Vedas. Your teaching will not only be honored within this universe or in this millennium, but in all places and ages, and will remain increasingly new and important. And I love what Srila Prabhupada says after that. Due to this benediction from his teacher, Lord Krishna's Bhagavad Gita is ever increasingly fresh, and it is not only renowned within this universe, but in other planets and in other universes also. So we all have that experience. I know, I don't know, I've read Bhagavad Gita maybe 8-9 times. And of course, I read Bhagavad Gita when I prepare for class, or, sometimes your class on Bhagavad Gita. And I always have that same experience. Wow, I didn't see that verse. Oh, I didn't remember reading that purport. And that's a recurrent experience. And so Prabhupada said it's due to the blessing of Sandipani Muni. By order by their teacher, Krishna and Balaram immediately returned home on their chariot. They traveled at great speed, like the wind, amid sound like the crashing of cloud. All the residents of Mathura, who had not seen Krishna and Balaram for a long time, 64 days. And he says a long time. That's how it feels, like even a moment like Lord Chaitanya praying in Shikshastaga Yuga Itam Nimishana. That's even a moment, Nimishana. Like if a moment is like 12 years or more. So imagine 64 days. It was like a lifetime for the resident of Mathura. We are very pleased to see them again. They felt joyful, like a person was again lost his lost property. So the resident of Mathura, they were so happy. And that's a blessing that Sandipani Muni gave to the Lord, that whatever we speak will be ever fresh. So as we read all those literature, and Srila Prabhupada seems to also have that blessing. Whatever he speaks or whatever he writes is ever fresh. I'm listening to classes, and sometimes I'm listening to the same class in 3 times. And it's just so fresh, so fresh. And we are learning here that by serving the teacher, by serving the teacher, teacher, guru, spiritual master, guru with a small g, guru with a big G, by serving the hand that give us spiritual knowledge, that give us freedom from material entanglement, then by serving, we learn. By learning, we can reward, and then we receive blessings. So Srila Prabhupada is constantly pouring blessing over us. He doesn't stop pouring blessing. Yesterday in our Nectar of Devotion class, we are still reading from the offenses against the holy name of the Lord. We are going slow and deep. And we were speaking about the blessing of being able to chant Hare Krishna daily. It's something like not to be taken for granted. That blessing is the spiritual master Srila Prabhupada allowing us to chant every day, to chant at least 16 rounds every day. That's a blessing. That if we think that it's just because of my own power, we need to think again. How is that possible for us to be capable of doing that? So the spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, is constantly bestowing mercy upon us, mercy, blessings that we can speak in a way that people receive us. If we really want to preach, I read a short biography of Gauri-Dasi. It's such special. And she was a very shy, introverted young woman, 17 or 18. And she heard that what's pleasing the most, Srila Prabhupada distribute his books. And she was so unqualified. That was so far from her nature. And so daily she prayed. She prayed to Srila Prabhupada, to Krishna, please, I want to distribute Srila Prabhupada's books. Please allow me. And she prayed and she went outside. She went out in the street with books. And it was so scary for her. She was really so scared and shy. And she said that at just one point, she felt blessed. She felt blessed. And from that moment on, she was distributing Srila Prabhupada's books with ease. And she did that until she left her body. And she left her body at 45 years old. She was taken away by cancer. And there is a class she gives just before leaving Los Angeles to go to Vrindavan to leave her body when she was already in an advanced stage. And she gave a class about how by serving the spiritual master in what's most pleasing, then life becomes completely successful and nothing is missing. And it's interesting to hear that because she's at the last stage of cancer. I mean, imagine she's suffering and very emaciated. And still, like every word that come out of her mouth at that time is nectar of ecstatic love for Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna, I'm going to stop here and I'm eager to hear from you. The Lord learned all the Vedas with their different branches simply by hearing them once from his teacher, Sandipani Muni, whom he rewarded by bringing back his dead son from the region of Yamaloka. Hare Krishna. Any comment, question, realization, sharing, challenges? Hare Krishna. Thank you for being here. Who is online? Lakshmi Priya, Mother Lakshmi Priya, Anansuya, Parampara Prabhu, and Bhakta Devan.
Thank you, Malini. Appreciate it. I appreciate it. I think it's kind of clear, but I never thought about it. After the Vrindavan pastimes, then in a sense, Krishna's kind of mission is more like Lord Ramachandra to set example. Vrindavan pastimes, don't try this stuff at home. Yeah, and of course, but then of course he sets an example, so we follow that, and of course he can set the example in a way where we can't imitate, like bringing back the lost souls and things like that.
Or taking care of 16,100 twice.
Right. Still, the idea is to humbly serve the Guru according, to the regulations. That's the principle here, and his form of Dakshi, you can return the sun. So I appreciate that also. Yeah, that it's I had read that for a long time. Yeah, so this list of 64 things they learned.
No, it's more than that
More.
because it's like 2 pages.
It goes on.
Yeah, it goes on and on, and it goes everywhere, like dressing or decorating or drawing or music and weapon and subtle science of mind control.
Very fascinating. Lots of psychology, the psychic movements, and just related to what you shared, Bhagavad Gita. So Bhagavad Gita is ever fresh because of Sandipani Muni's blessing. We didn't think of it that way. And just yesterday I read in the 7th canto, 7th canto, the 14th chapter, and Prabhupada has like a few purports where he uses the term again and again, again and again. Like it's like, even if you've read Bhagavad Gita, it's not that now I'm finished, so you can read again and again, get ever fresh realizations. I see Prabhupada says,
Yeah, and this thing I think is unknown for most of those who consider themselves part of Srila Prabhupada's movement. It seems like I'm done. Oh, I read the Bhagavatam. Oh, I read the Bhagavad Gita. Now what's next? And then I always need something next. Or even worse is that, oh, let me read another books than those books. When Srila Prabhupada in Krishna book in 7th chapter, 7th canto now, like you repeat that, like read my books again and again and again and again. And when you finish it, you start again. And when you finish it, you start again. And that's the way to be in contact with Srila Prabhupada. And that's the way to receive his mercy. That's the way to serve him. Like it's service, hearing and chanting. Shravanam Kirtanam is devotional service. So when we chant, we serve the spiritual master. When we hear from reading Prabhupada's book, we serve the spiritual master. And we can do that again and again and again. Hare Krishna. In fact, I will just put a little advertisement here. I received a gift when I was in Denver. And I think that's one of the best gifts one could receive, really. It's a little red box like that. And in that red box, there is everything, Srila Prabhupada, not everything, there is most of what's being put into digital sound of what Srila Prabhupada said, all his classes, all the conversation, and it's all organized like series of classes on 1st canto, 2nd canto, Chaitanya Charitamrita per chapter, the Nectar of Devotion, the Sri Upanishad. It's all so well organized. And then there is a system like you have a little book that go with it, and then you type a code, and then wherever you're in a book, it comes. And it doesn't require the internet. For years, I have been lamenting when I wasn't able to use CDs anymore because my CD player broke, and now they don't have CD player and even MP3 player. I was lamenting like, oh, now to listen to Srila Prabhupada class, I need to go online. And when I go online, I don't know what's going to happen. Something is going to beep, something will attract my attention. I don't want that. I want to be able to listen to Prabhupada and not online. And here is that magical little box that came to me. And it's a most beautiful gift. I just put that out for you. Pampa, Prabhu, you have your hand raised.
Thank you for class.
Yeah.
It's kind of technical perhaps, but I was just wondering about this process. Maybe it's because it's past time, but this process of bringing the dead son back. And I'm wondering, was it like a recent death? Because I'm thinking, where is the soul, like the soul that left the body? Shouldn't it be going into another body? And like, who is the dead son? Bringing it back. Is it bringing back the soul? So I'm wondering about that. I have another question that's kind of related to that, depending on your response. But I'm wondering about the process and timing and what's actually happening here. I understand is it that the soul is like still being in the process and it's in Yamaraj's court or something like that?
Yeah, thank you. And I ask myself that question also. Every time I read that pastime, I ponder on that question. And I think it's, pondering on those questions is fulfilling the goal of human life. I thought to Brahma Vidyasa, we want to ask those kind of questions. We want to be thinking of those kind of questions. And I don't have a response for you. The fact that Krishna went to the ocean and after went to kill the demon and went inside the bellies of the demons to find the boy, kind of may give an indication, and I don't want to speculate here, I'm just unfolding what's inside my mind about it, may give an indication that the accident may have happened not so long ago, but I don't know that. And then it goes to Yamaraj, and also that's interesting because why will the son of Sandipani Muni, who is a pure devotee of the Lord, who is even in such a relationship with the Lord that the Lord choose him as his teacher to learn from him, why will the son of such exacted Nitya Siddha, eternal associate of the Lord, will go to Yamaraj? It's another question, like, and all that is unknown. It's all part of the pastime, and I don't really have a response to you. When it comes to souls that are still in a I'm thinking about where it is. I think it's in the fourth canto somewhere. There is a very, very nice explanation of what's happened at the time of death. I don't remember.
Some transition period.
Yeah, it's in the fourth canto, I think. In the beginning, I don't think it's the beginning. I think it's in the fourth canto somewhere, where it's like really diving into the details. And if I look at my notes, I have a notebook, you probably could find it. It dives into the details of even like how, with our subtle body, in a sense, we are already creating the new body, and the new body is ready for us in some extent. So I think there is so many parts of the Srimad Bhagavatam where that transition is presented, and each time is kind of presenting a little bit differently, because it's like the law of karma are very intricate to understand, and so the destination of the soul is also very intricate to understand, according to the layer of sinful activity contained in the subtle body. Then they may have a need to go first down to some hellish planets, for example. And in that part of the fourth canto, in fact, it's explained how the hellish planet prepares someone, like says that someone is going to take birth as a hog and eating stool. Then in hellish planet, it is already fed stool to kind of get the test of it. And because from a subtle body that's used to be in a human form to a subtle body of the hog, well, there is need for training somewhere. So it's an intricate science, and it's nothing, like we have computers, and we have computers in which we can enter data, and from those data we can get such an amazing, almost unlimited combination of solution like that. But it's not unlimited, it's very limited. Even artificial intelligence, it's something, it's data, and then you bring out different activities, different possibility for a robot or something like that. But it's limited by the human brain. So Krishna doesn't have limitation, and his expansion, like Lord Vishnu and then Brahma don't have the same limitation of our brain. So the data of all the activities of that soul that's contained within the subtle body creates different possibilities at the time of death. And what's guaranteed is anyone who did some devotional service any endeavor on that path is guaranteed. I listened to Prabhupada's class just a few days ago, where Prabhupada said, it's guaranteed that that person who makes some advancement in spiritual life, do some service, is going to be guaranteed a human form of life. And in that part of the fourth canto, it's explained how, yeah, the person's desire, and we can see that some people, they live lower than animals. What they do is lower than animals, and some people act like animals or live their life eating, sleeping, mating, and defending in animals' ways. And in a sense, they are already creating their next destination, and almost they are already there. So at the time of death, in that purport, Srila Prabhupada explained how before leaving the gross body, the other gross body is already created. So that's my response. I don't have much concreteness about the son of Sandipani Muni. And then when it comes to the process of dying, there is so many different paradigms, datas that create so different situations after the time of death. And you can read the fifth canto, where there is some explanation there on the fourth canto. And I'm sensing, Patrick, for you, it's going to be very fascinating to read all the Srimad Bhagavatam.
Yeah.
To take time to do that.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a work in progress. I'm 15% complete according to my. It's been a long time for that 15%.
Your Kindle said 15%. That's correct?
Yeah, reader, yeah.
Cool.
But I appreciate that response because I feel more expanded. My consciousness around that question is more expanded. And a related question that I think is probably a similar, is probably a similar thing. Like there's not really a response, and all I have is speculation about it. But I wonder, perhaps you can relate it to some teaching of Prabhupada or actual principle. Is like it seems to me. I've recently watched some things about this medium that was like communicating with deceased, communicating with the deceased in a sense. And I have some, it seems like that happens, at least in some cases, like there's some communication happening. But I wonder, but then it's like, well, who are they communicating with? If they're, because where is that soul now? That soul maybe in a different body, and who are they communicating with? Maybe they're communicating with like something subtle. Anyway, I just wonder if you had anything about that, like how that could work.
Yeah, thank you. Yam yam vapu smaham bhavam. Wherever we put our mind at the end of death, that's where we go. And it's of course like not something that's pushed or artificial. So that's the principle. And so our mind at the time of death is going to be an accumulation of all our activities, desire and activity in this lifetime. And some of, and it's mixed. Maybe we are going to go to the heavenly planet for some time and then come down on Earth, or maybe go in different species of life. It's not straightforward. And so about those mediums, well, there is such a thing as ghost. So, and my sense is that there is many situations, many death situations that Srila Prabhupada describes, that maybe the soul within the subtle body kind of over for a little while, like if someone kills themselves, or an accident, a car accident that's very violent, or people want to stay around their family members, that's their desire. And so there is soul engaged in subtle body without a gross body that do over and that are around, like we can encounter ghosts. So medium, maybe speak with ghost, that's possible. They also, like there is so many living entities. There is so many living entities that we cannot see with our eyes that have subtle bodies. and from different planets even so. So, I don't know who they speak with. And to tell you the truth, it doesn't interest me much. Because it's just, like psychic abilities. And who knows, what psychic abilities where they're really communicating with people from the other world or, subtle bodies. And those psychic abilities are all connected with the material subtle body. So it doesn't have anything to do with spiritual matter. So that's what I will respond to. You have more you would like to add?
There is a transition period which can take different forms. Could be, say, if someone's going to an animal species, then there's different hellish planets to prepare them. That's described in the 5th canto.
Yeah.
And so maybe the son of Sunday Pandini was in some transition period. And there with Yamaraj, for whatever reason, maybe some subtle transgression. Just like it was the best time with Nanda Maharaj. He didn't quite do the Ekadashi right, and then Varuna took him, even though the Maharaj like that. And so, so there's different transition periods, and if someone's a genuine medium who can speak, it might be different souls in transition periods who are hanging around due to some material attachment, as you said. So that's all there. That's all there in the mystic realm. It's all described in Bhagavatam. At the same time, not all that interesting for a devotee.
Not that interesting. One thing also we can consider that comes to mind as I was hearing Dear Govinda's Prabhu speaking is that only the gross body dies. So the soul is engaged in a subtle body, and the subtle body move on maybe over for a while, maybe transition state, maybe going to a different species. However, the subtle body does exist of that person. And so because it does exist, in a sense, we can imagine that the communication is still possible with that subtle body until the subtle body gets so entrenched in his new form and illusion that he kind of forget about any other life. Because that's to really understand that the subtle body doesn't die when the body dies, mean that everything that's accumulated, desire, activities, whatever is accumulated in that subtle body is accessible because the subtle body doesn't die. Even when it goes on in its journey, it's still there. So that's also a possibility of understanding that they are communicating with the subtle body. And even the subtle body may be in transition or even transitioned, then maybe it's in a room of a mother pig, and maybe it's possible to communicate with that subtle body. So that's something that comes to mind. But again, for our devotees, those kind of things are, they can be consolidating in understanding the nature of matter, subtle matter and gross matter, and at the same time, that they are not that enlivening when it comes to understanding Krishna. But they may be useful in understanding the different nature of matter.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Parampara Prabhu. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai. Hare Krishna.
Jai Hare Krishna. Hare Bol.